And we became a new group, a new coalition. And they came to me to say, how do we change this? What do you know? And I went to them and said, how can we use your power? Because as educators, oftentimes, we don't have much power. We think we do, but there are so many of us spread out, looking for their own little silos to get supported and funded, that we're forgetting, I think, the importance of education. It's to give these kids an opportunity to get into the workforce and to live their dreams. So we have had a lot of meetings. I've gone to the industries in tech because it's in my neighborhood and it's easy to move in and out. I'm going to go to hospitality. I'm making my way around. I just wish I had a little more time, but I will, because as you can see, this team around me is so superior that pretty soon I can focus more on the vision. But bottom line is, the first part of this book is all about our economy and how we compare with the rest of the world. Studied all of the OECD. OECD, for those who don't know, is the Paris group that looks at the world of developing countries, does a lot of science, but looks at their human capital. And what do they do to look at their human capital? They look at their 15-year-olds and they say, what is your reading literacy? What is your science literacy? Their words, not mine. And what is your math literacy? And they rank them. You guys all know the numbers. We are now, if you look at the top 34 countries, we are now in the bottom tier, America. So the book talks about this. It talks about how education leads to GDP, our lifestyles. If we don't have GDP growth, we don't have the lifestyles that we're living today. It talks about how few kids now, especially the ones that are not reading well enough to get through high school, what their income levels are when they go out to get jobs. It also talks about how we have to move as a unit to make sure these kids from birth to 3 really get covered. So what does that mean? And what does it cost as a nation? So we flip it. What is it costing us not to educate 76% of our kids to be truly reading literate, proficient readers, which is what this world demands today. It's coming at us so fast. And the book sets it up, and then it goes right into the focus groups. What do you have to do to get America to stand up and pay attention? Well, we found 3 key things, and they're pretty darn interesting, and I spent my life trying to figure them out. What does America want to hear? Number 1, equity. It has to be about all kids. It has to be about the fact that America is an exceptional country because we have this diversity. You start talking about a subset of kids and you lose America. So in any PSA we do, and anything we put up on the web, remember, equity. Number 2, personal. They want equity for everyone, but it better be about me. How is it going to affect me? I want to see my child walk to school and know it's a good school. I want to know that all my neighborhood children are getting a good education. And what is what you're trying to tell me about? What is it going to do for my community? So you've got to pull into jobs. You've got to pull into more taxes. You've got to pull into the infrastructure, because that's what education gives you. You'll never guess number 3, because I sure didn't, so I'm just going to assume. Imagery. I thought, what is that all about? The focus groups, led by Frank Lenz, who's a brilliant man, a little political, but a brilliant man. They want to see the positive, and they want to see the negative, and they want it equal. Don't just show me the negative, because I'll toss it out. Don't just show me the positive, I'll toss it out. But give me the juxtaposition and tell me what we have to do to bring it to level, and I'll pay attention. So in every message you have and everything you do, those 3 things become critical. Then what we learned when we get into chapter 6, Margie took a great amount of time and so succinctly wrote a chapter on teacher knowledge. And it walks through this teachia, thank you for saying that. Today I would never say that in the crowd, but I loved it. It just walks you through the depth of knowledge. They need to be our professionals. It talks about the need for K through third grade teachers to have such skill, such knowledge, that they can help, as Vicki said, they can help every teacher. Then we go to the actions of the potent, and it kind of tells you how to move the system. The next chapter is Carolyn's chapter that you're going to hear about in a moment. In this new world, you have to be connected. Like I've tweeted all day today. Well, not all day, 4 or 5 tweets, but that's a lot for me in 3 hours, 5 hours. You have to be connected with your message. And I think Decoding Dyslexia is doing so well, is they're using their Facebook, they're using their LinkedIn, they're using their tweets. All of us have to do the same thing, and we have to retweet each other. Don't just, it's all about me, and it's all about the message I want. Go search for good messages and retweet them. I am right now the soon not to be, I hope, that I tweet, and I've been doing it now for 1 year because Carolyn forced me to do it. No one else had time. And I just had the time to tweet. I spend about 30 minutes now a day. And we are getting about 100 new followers a month. And I'm not using any of the tricks to get followers because I don't want those types of followers. And I don't ever follow people. I want educators. I want people who are in our realm. And to get 100 of those people a month is what I hear pretty darn good. So I'm proud of all of us, and we retweet each other, and now we're getting even larger families involved. The next chapter, first helping my child, and then community change. Ellen tells her story, which is beautifully done. It tells parents what to do for their kids. And then we have an idea of, it's called Challenges Breed Opportunity. And this talks about, you all know Elsa, and you all know Norma because she helped you get here. They took Brownsville, Reed, and they turned a community on the border of Mexico upside down. And they not only got all of those children to read, but they then got the $1 Million Road Prize. So bravo for them. We talk about that. And then I talk about the 90-90-90 schools. And I talk about LA Unified School District, second largest school district in the country. And they have a dropout rate of 60%. Hello. It gets me mad, so I'll get off that one. Nuts and bolts of enacting legislation. Rich Long at the IRA is a great partner of ours. He has been for years. He wrote a lovely section on how you get law in. And then tricks of the trade. I have a dear friend who's a congresswoman, Jackie Spear, and several others. And I asked them, she used to be state, now she's federal. I asked them how we go about getting legislation in. How do we talk? What do we say? What do we do? Anyway, it's really changed a little bit. Jackie's done a great job on that. And then we go to law. Oh, Mark, you're so good. 1 minute.
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt you in a minute. The governor has asked that we give a minute of silence at 2:50 for the victims of Boston. So we have another minute before we have to. I don't want you to get too much of it.
Where are you going next? So should we just do it now? Should we wait? We all doing a prayer together?
I think
We'll just get it up.
It's 2:50, so yeah, we can do it now.
Yeah, let's just do it now. Stats, who knows who's Stats?
Okay, we have, the third part of the book is the literacy law. And we have, based on all of your suggestions from the first book, Literacy Policy, we have added new sections to the law, and also based on science. That's perfect, just to keep it there. Leave it open like that. We've added new sections to the law, and I think what's most important here is people need to see information differently. So we've broken it into an executive summary, 1 page, imagine. So each section has 4 parts: executive summary, and then a matrix for people that like graphs, so they can see the components of the law, and then a roadmap that are all the specifics are there of the law, and then the language, before we even put out the language. So we took some time to do this. I think key of importance here, definitions. We have added many definitions. The first thing you have to do in every law is to get everyone in place so that they understand what everything means. Don't leave anything up to guesswork or you're going to get in trouble. The next part of the literacy policy is understanding that we have to overlap and be nimble with things that are happening today. We spend $1.3 trillion a year on education. Common Core state standards are coming into play. How do we overlap with that? How do we complement that? One of the big things that also came out of the EdPulse teacher group, 4th through 12th grade teachers are frightened. How do we do the Common Core? How do we teach reading and writing when our kids are 2, 3, 4, 5 years behind the grade level? We can't, we're going to fail. So they're starting to put the pressure down into the lower school. And what do we have to do? Support those teachers in K through 3 to say, we know how to do it, you need advanced language. Okay, here we go. We're going to go really quickly now. First thing we all know how to do is we've got to do the deep, and I'm not going to go through all this, but we have to go through very, very deep training teachers in all colleges of education. And we have to at least certify, and we're calling this the EURECA, Advanced Reading Instruction Competence Assessment. K through 3, right here. 4 through 12, right here. BRICA, Basic Reading Instruction Competence Assessment. Why? Because all of those teachers are also reading and writing and language teachers. And they don't have a background in it. We also have the KPS, Knowledge and Practice Standards, done by the IDA group, of which Margie was one of. All of that language has been added. We have vocabulary, fluency, phonics, phonemes. It's here, complete, including what different seeds need. An economically disadvantaged child is going to need a heck of a lot more vocabulary. An English language learner is going to have some dual language going on in a lot of their classes, particularly if they're in upper school. So that component's on there. We've been talking about data and assessments all day. Again, I'm a data geek. We have to direct instruction using data. And that's just not kid instruction. It's also our teachers. What do they need? So let me go back. We have all the science that we've learned from Reed's work and Peggy's work and all the institutes. Multi-tier systems of support, your RTI systems. How long do you stay in Tier 1? And if you start using data to fall behind, when do you go to Tier 2? How many weeks do you stay in Tier 2 before you go to Tier 3? We're not talking half a year here. We're talking 8 weeks. If you're not making progress, Tier 3. Tier 3 is intense. Another 8 weeks, no progress. Say you're a kindergarten child. Let's get you an IEP. You need a full formal assessment right here. When do you get referred to special education? After the formal assessment. So I think You know, a lot of people are going to say, there's too much here. But as Stuart said earlier, we go for the moon, and then we keep going back. We also have regulations for districts and school boards. Everything Vicki has talked about, Vicki wrote this section of the law and cited it all based on the science, implementation, policy and practices, compliance, and then a new section, thanks to our friends in Vermont, early childhood education. They provided some model legislation based on some of the other legislation we had done. And then we sent it to 4 science experts in the area. They said, we don't have to touch anything. It was cited, it was written beautifully, and that's what we call teamwork. So thank you for that. Those are the 9 components of literacy legislation. Ready for you. Yes, I'm so glad that is off.
And I think you can look at it as an architectural blueprint, which is not inconsistent with, build a foundation first. And sometimes you look at this, I suppose, as a menu and say, well, what is the first thing we need to get to? So if you offer it that way. This software is spicy notes. Is that what this is? Nice. Okay. So it's not. So there's more than Prezi in the world. Wow. Wow. But I think this is very useful as a mapping. So.
And then just one other point, and this I think is important when we talk about equity in all kids. These are the teachers that are being trained today and we know not well, and it's not their fault. These teachers have to teach reading and writing at all levels. With your law work, what you have to do is you have to spell out that 67% of kids not proficiently reading is not acceptable, A, but that what we know, what science has given us, and what the 90 schools are proving, is that all of these kids can read, but more importantly, in the states of Massachusetts and Florida, which are the 2 states that have not all of the components in our dream world that we pray for every night, but a lot of those components. When they implemented things that are in the law, their top group of kids, their advanced readers, doubled. We're not talking it went up a little bit, it didn't go up at all. So all of those categories of readers improved. So to take your proficient readers and double that number and double your advanced number, that's huge. So we're working right now with several people. We've got the graphs out and the designs out. We're working on a new document like the SEATS document that we're doing that. We're going to send out to everyone as soon as it gets formatted. And I think it's going to allow you to have one more tool to walk in and use that equity word to say this helps all kids, even the decent readers become advanced readers. Okay?
Carol.